What about your pizza?
You taste so much better than pepperoni.
Welcome back to the Anthony Spade channel. Today we're going to be talking about why more men are choosing to live a life without kids. All right, before we get started, I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I don't want you to hit the like. Watch the entire video. If you like it, press like at the end or press dislike. All right, if you've been following me, then you know my advice is for a man to start a woman's account. As a woman, use a fake woman's photo just so you can study how men are inboxing her every day and how she walks outside of her house delusional. That's my ultimate advice for men. All right, let's get started. Now, today we're going to be talking about why more men are choosing to live life without kids. And my opinion is, in today's world, I think we're living in the wild, wild west. Everything that was bad 10 years and 20 years ago is now good, and everything that's good is really bad. We're really living inside of a matrix world where people's brains, mentalities, and personalities can be dictated. But the easiest ones to be manipulated are the women. The women have been manipulated by far the worst and are under the biggest delusion that it makes it hard for a man to even be in a relationship with a woman to get along with her, which is where I'm gonna go to my first reason. Being that it's so hard for a man to get along with a woman nowadays, men are finding more happiness and freedom. See, before, men used to just always dream about getting married, having kids, and building a legacy. But nowadays, you can build a legacy without having children. You can build a legacy without getting married, because the world is making it really hard for people to love and hard for men in general to love a woman. And it has a woman in love with herself. So the ultimate freedom of self is one of the main reasons why men are choosing not to have kids. It's because when you start thinking about kids, the man is normally thinking getting married and having kids. He's not thinking being a single father. Most men cannot profit being a single father. He can only lose money by being a father that does not live with his child. And the chances of him being a father that doesn't live with his child is very high. And the way the court system is set up nowadays, a man can really get ass raped in divorce court and child support court. So the system is set up to really bleed and hurt a man, that it has scarring a lot of men, and men have pre-warned other men before it can happen, which is one of the reasons why men are not having kids. Is that when you can find your freedom, you become happy with your freedom, you find dreams that you can chase, and you start living the best part of life. You start eating right, you start going to the gym, you start discovering new goals. You don't start thinking about building a family anymore. We're living in a wild, wild west where you can walk outside of your house now and anything is possible. Anything can happen. And the reason why it's like that is because a lot of our laws have been changed to make a woman happy, but a woman mind is always changing. So a lot of laws and rules have been changed for not just one woman, but for each of her personalities that she holds. That's the downfall about society, is that society is out to make a woman happy, but there's no structured way to make a woman happy because she goes through too many personalities throughout the day. And now that we have a world based off a woman's personalities, then we have a confused world because a woman walks around confused, which is why men don't even see themselves forming a family to even have children. My second reason is for men not having kids nowadays is pretty much the LGBT questionable Q that's going on, that's actually been enforced onto children. I did a video about this before, and I also agree with the video that I did. Everybody was okay with who they are before people started promoting the LGBT community. Now that that's been promoted so heavily, everyone that's insecure and becomes confused and doesn't know how to deal with their insecurity is becoming more confused because they're thinking that maybe they're gay, or maybe they're supposed to be a man, or maybe they're supposed to be a woman, or maybe they're supposed to experience with both. We're living in a world now based off of insecurities. It's what's changing people to want to be to be different type of people. So people are confused. So you can have a child, but the chances are you have about 2 years to enjoy your child before the internet starts raising your children. And when the internet starts raising your children, you may give birth to a little boy, but that little boy may go through a series of confusion in his life just based off of school to where he feels he's a little girl. And it's the same thing with a little girl, is that a little girl can be confused with her surroundings, and she could be confused with technology of being trapped inside the matrix, that she may start to think she's a little boy. We did not start having this confusion, or as many cases of confusion, until the past 10 years when it was being promoted heavily. Now everybody's walking around confused. Everybody's walking around living in this madhouse, living in this mad world. All because we gave women power, and women have too many different personalities within them that we're trying to satisfy. So now, instead of satisfying millions of women, those millions of women have 6 personalities within them. So for each million women, there's 6 million women you're trying to satisfy. So they're creating different rules to satisfy each personality of the woman. But a man is still looking at life logically, like, hey, I thought we're supposed to be building legacy and building a house, family, and kids. But nowadays, it's you have guys that are walking away from women now, and you have guys that are turning to sex toys. They're rather go to prostitutes, escorts. There's so many other outlets for a man to get his release when it comes sexually. Men don't really have to be in relationships as much as a woman does. A woman cannot stand being alone. It's hard for her to be alone. A man can be alone. A man can get him a dog, a dream, and have sex once or twice a month and be perfectly okay. Women always have to have attention. So men are empowered right now through the empowerment of women. Women's empowerment has been the biggest flaw to them, and has been the biggest delusion to them, because the outcome that they were promised, they're not getting. The only thing that a woman is getting right now is misery, because she's expecting guys to continue to chase her, but in return, less guys are pursuing the women. So you're getting less marriages, which is now you're getting less kids. And my advice, we're probably 2 or 3 generations behind this correction that's going on now. So in my opinion, within the next 10 years, it's not even, I don't suggest having any kids. The world is only going to get worse. The delusion's only going to get worse, because this breakout is starting as a trend, but it's going to take generations to turn it back around to the life that we know of. But the life that we know of will never get back, because studies have shown over time, life just keeps evolving. So you have more men that are choosing not to have kids. You have women that are saying that they don't want kids, but then they wake up mid-40s and they're like, oh yeah, I do want kids now. But around that time, it's too late and they're left to adopt. So in my opinion, men don't have kids if you ain't had them. And if you do have kids out there, raise them the best you can, but just understand you're living in the wild, wild west. All right? This is Anthony Spade. Hopefully I was able to explain why less men are choosing to have kids nowadays, and hopefully you'll agree with it. If you like it, press the like button. If you ain't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. This is Anthony Spade. Hasta la vista.